the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, Strategic Planning, National Development and Stats, Honorable Biman Prasad, Assistant Minister for Finance, Honorable Emmanuel, PS Finance, Mr. Shri Gounder, Board members of FRCS, FRCS CEO Mark Dixon, members of media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you all. And before I start my address proper, may I set my apology that I'm late. I have a challenged son at home, and he was agitated this morning, and I had to stay back for a little while. So my apology, Minister. On behalf of FRCS Board, the CEO, and all FRCS staff, let me congratulate the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, Strategic Planning, National Development and Stats, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, and Assistant Minister for Finance, Honorable Emmanuel, on your ministerial appointments. It is my pleasure and privilege to officially welcome you both to FRCS, and we wish to assure you, sir, our unwavering support in working closely with you and the government. As the government's principal revenue collector, FRCS acknowledges its critical role in supporting the funding of the national budget to help deliver key government programs, as well as to assist businesses to diversify and become more productive and resilient. As such, FRCS is continuing its transformational work to deliver a modern and highly efficient tax administration, trade facilitation, and border protection services, in line with its vision to become a world-class revenue service delivering excellence in revenue collection, border protection, trade, and travel facilitation. FRCS also aims to be the benchmark tax administration agency in the Pacific region. I'm pleased to announce that our tax revenue remains robust and above forecast. At the end of the 5th month of 2022-23 fiscal year, the cumulative collection stood at 978.9 million. The collection is 6.5 million or 0.7% above the forecast, and 351.5 million or 56% above same period last year. A job well done, FRCS team. Furthermore, to assist the cash flow of the businesses, $129.7 million worth of refunds and full tax rebates have been released against the forecast of $125.3 million. The revenue outlook for year 2023 remains optimistic. Consumption taxes are expected to remain strong, and income taxes, departure taxes, water revenue taxes, and customs duties will follow suit as Fijian economy continues to recover. All that said, the FRCS board, management, and staff will continue to monitor global macroeconomic events as it evolves and adjust its strategies as necessary. It would be remiss of me not to highlight the fragile global economic conditions as countries continue to battle COVID resurgence, the war in Ukraine, inflationary and recessionary conditions all over the world. This is why FRCS is changing its approach with businesses, a partnership approach offering targeted, attractive tax incentives and customs concessions to help diversify and grow our revenue base. This important work will continue in year 2003. Honorable Ministers, we at FRCS are aware we are a 20% stakeholders in all wealth creation. Taxman is not the most liked in the nation. How do we create an acceptable mutual relationship in this symbiotic existence is our challenge. We will explore new ideas, develop and evolve as an institution, and strive for long partnership with businesses and people of Fiji. We don't want to be seen just as a good tax agency, but as a fair, ethical, and optimum tax collection institute. Before I invite our honorable chief guest to officially address us, let me briefly introduce Honorable Minister to you all. Professor Biman Prasad hails from Raketi in Vanuatu. He has a distinguished background, including bachelor's degree in mathematics and economics, a master's degree in commerce, and a doctorate of philosophy from University of Queensland. At USP, Professor Biman was an acclaimed international scholar, dean of the largest USP faculty, and president of Students of Staff Association. I remember we were together as the student association executives. We were both on the board. He has done consultancy work on numerous international organizations, including WTO and AUSAID, presented academic papers across the globe. He is, in summary, a highly accomplished academic, editor, consultant, and a politician. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite Honorable Minister Professor Biman Prasad to deliver his official address. Thank you.
My colleague, Honorable Assistant Minister, the Chairman of the FRCS, Mr. Savendra Dayal, Board of Directors, Management, Staff, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Big Binakawa Kilebu for the warm and traditional welcome. Thank you. I think the Chairman has said quite a lot, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate him on his appointment as the chair of the FRCS board. And I want to also congratulate the new members, in particular Mr. Malakai Nyanga, a very well-known, experienced man, and Mr. Ilosoni Windraketi for their appointments on the FRCS board. We have, of course, this is Umesh Chand, and already my hard-working permanent secretary, Mr. Shri Gounder, as the two existing directors who will continue on the board. We will be shortly appointing another board member as well. I think, as highlighted by Mr. Dayal, this board offers a fresh opportunity for the review of the existing strategies, and I know that this would be the priority of the CEO and also the new board. I also want to acknowledge, as has already been highlighted by the chairman of the board, the good work that you as the staff have done over a very, very uncertain period. And as again pointed out by the chair, we are still moving ahead in 2023 in a world of a lot of uncertainties and against many global negative headwinds that will not only have an impact on our economy, but also on organizations like FRCS and the ability to collect revenue for the government. I'm also aware that the CEO has been working very hard, thank you, Mark, to make FRCS an employer of choice and genuinely become an organization with good cultural change to ensure that our workers in this organization are part of the objective and inclusivity to achieving the objective of the organization and helping the government achieve its objective. The FRCS is a very, very critical government agency. And as I said, I'm aware that there are a lot of transformational work that has already been done to make the FRCS a trusted, efficient, service-driven tax customs administration that minimizes the tax gap and maintains the protection of Fiji's borders. In this difficult environment, it isn't just enough for the agency to become a revenue collection agency. And I'm hoping that the new FRCS will be much more proactive in partnering with our businesses and taxpayers. We need to build confidence within the business community, within the taxpayer community, and we need to ensure that we create a culture where businesses feel that they are important, that they will comply with the tax laws, and that they will be supported by the FRCS to not only be compliant, but also to build their businesses. Because if they build their businesses, if they work with FRCS closely, it's good for the organization, good for the government, and good for the country. We want FRCS to have an open door policy and have a culture where staff and the leaders within the organization are willing to consult and listen to businesses about ways to improve organizational efficiency and growth in revenue collections. And as a nation, and I'm sure all of you in this organization and the leadership of the organization, and I'm sure the board understands the importance of tax revenue in the functioning of our country and indeed in the formulation of the national budget priorities. But also, at the same time, understanding the principles of taxation or principles of a good taxation, which means, two important principles that always excite me when it comes to tax is the simplicity of the administration and efficiency. Because if you don't have administrative simplicity and a tax system and the laws that improve efficiency, it will be very, very difficult for us to get the revenue that we need and ensure that as a country we're able to formulate budgets based on that will drive the country forward. I know that we are going through a difficult period. Our debt level remains very high. And fundamentally, when you have a high debt level, you're looking at mid-term, long-term fiscal strategies to reduce that debt, but also to ensure that there is a balance between our expenditure and the priorities that people have and the country as a whole has. I'm also aware that during COVID, and in some sense, there was a bit of a rush. I don't know why, but there was a huge reduction in the number of staff from 900 to 560 as of today, I'm told. And I know that some experienced staff were also let to go. I know the matter is in the court, and I hope that that can be sorted out soon, and that we will be able to bring some of those experienced people back in the organization, because we not only need new skills, but we also need experience. And a combination of new skills, new culture, and experience would provide the organization with a solid footings, solid foundation to be able to achieve the objectives that the organization has. Let me say this again. The key to the changes at FRCS are its people. And again, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Ministry and indeed on behalf of the government to thank all of you and to thank all those who were with the organization before, because we recognize the importance of good people, a good organizational culture, because if you have good people, if you don't have good people, you can't build a good organizational culture. You can't build an efficient organization. And in that sense, I want to thank all of you again and again for the work that you do. And we in the Ministry of Finance, through our Permanent Secretary, we look forward to working with you. I know we are going through a difficult period in the economic history of our country, but we are confident. I think there is a sense of exuberance, there is a sense of optimism, and there is a sense of confidence coming into the country as a result of the new coalition government. We also understand that we have a three-party coalition government. Coalition governments are usually very good governments. And we are confident that we have a government that believes in inclusivity. Our Honorable Prime Minister has said this on many occasions, and we all share his vision about inclusivity, about uniting this country for a single and sole purpose of improving the quality of life of our people. We understand the anxieties and the uncertainties that might have been there a couple of weeks back. All that is now behind us, and we are working very closely with everyone in every organization, and FRCS will not be an exception. We, again, as a government, we want to emphasize and we want to send a very clear message to our business community that our approach to policy making would be consultation, dialogue, and discussion. And to that end, the government has already announced, we have already announced, that we will have an economic summit which will become an annual event, which will bring people together, businesses together, stakeholders together, to ensure there is a clear purpose, there is a clear direction in terms of the policy advice that we get from different stakeholders and sectors of our economy. We are also going to appoint a 10-member Fiscal Review Committee that I've already talked about, and I want to mention that again. That Fiscal Review Committee will include experts, people who understand the nuances of revenue and expenditure, the fiscal strategies that governments need to adopt, and what this government is going to adopt in the medium term and in the long term. But also we'll have people who will understand the nuances about our tax system. And that Fiscal Review Committee will advise our ministry and the government to undertake appropriate policies that fit well in terms of the overall development objectives of our country. I know we have a very, very competent board. I know all of them, and I'm very confident that under the leadership of the CEO, the board will be working very closely with us to ensure that whatever challenges we have, challenges with respect to tax administration, including compliance activities, and other challenges such as the BMS implementation. I'm told that that's still a bit of a challenge, but I know that we have the leadership, we have all of you, and we would be able to navigate those challenges. Once again, I'm delighted to be here with my Honourable Assistant Minister, and I'm confident that FRCS will move into new heights, and that we will, together as partners, ensure that we collect enough revenue, we collect in an efficient way, we collect it in a way that builds confidence, builds business, and supports economic growth. Once again, Big Binaka Bakilevu for the warm welcome. Thank you, Dhanyawad, Shukriya.
The Honourable Professor Biman Prasad, Assistant Minister for Finance, the Honourable Hezram Emmanuel, Board Chair, Board Directors, and FRCS staff. Bula Vanaka, and good morning. And it's a great pleasure and privilege for me to be able to offer a formal vote of thanks to our Minister on behalf of the Board, Management, and all our FRCS staff team. I am the very proud CEO of the FRCS team, and ultimately it is my job to ensure that the organisation achieves its vision to be a benchmark tax and customs administration that sets the standard for the entire Pacific region. There is no doubt that the organisation needed to improve following a very difficult and challenging period throughout COVID. Last year for us was about being brilliant at the basics, demonstrating moral courage, humility, good leadership, rebuilding our culture and teamwork, caring for and listening to our staff, being mindful of the impacts of COVID on everybody's well-being, and the opportunities we learned through the pandemic to work smarter. As we've already heard this morning, off the back of a poor first 6 months of revenue collection last year, we delivered a fantastic revenue collection by the end of the financial year. An indication suggests that we are on track to meet a substantially increased forecast for 2023. At the start of 2022, we only had one substantive executive in our leadership team. Since then, I'm pleased to say that we have built a new executive leadership team one that is local, young and diverse. We've also led by example in terms of women in leadership, appointing FRCS's first ever female Director of Taxation. However, an organisation as large and complex as FRCS takes time to transform, and we still have much work to do in 2023 in supporting government, supporting the ongoing economic recovery, and in taking FRCS from being a good organisation to being a truly great organisation. Everything we need to achieve our aim is actually sitting here in the room with us today. As you've all heard this morning, we have a highly supportive government and minister. FRCS has developed a fantastic working relationship with the Permanent Secretary and his team. We have a highly engaged new board chair and new board, a strategic board, and of course we have all of you, our loyal and committed FRCS staff team. With that support behind me, I will focus on three main priorities in 2023. Firstly, to maintain our efforts, as the Minister said, on becoming an employer of choice, one who genuinely values our workforce and provides ongoing leadership, learning and technical skills development for them to progress within our organisation and continue to be successful. I'm very passionate about this priority. Only by getting this priority right can we achieve our second aim, which is to become a truly service-centric organisation, where every client and customer gets a consistent concierge type of service. Part of that service, as we've heard, is our ongoing work to digitally transform our tax administration and allowing everyone access online 24/7 from the comforts of their home or office. This is one of Fiji's largest digital transformation programs. It's not finished, and we need to get it right this year. Our third key aim is to become, again as the Minister said, a genuine partner with businesses and industry. We've certainly commenced that journey last year, but it is no longer good enough. Again, we're very aligned, the Minister, the Chair and myself. It is no longer good enough for FRCS to focus solely on just being a revenue collection agency. We must be much more outward-looking and innovative in helping the economy to grow, in making everyone aware of the range of tax incentives and custom concessions that are currently available, and in ensuring that those incentives remain appropriate and focused, and working with businesses and associations to explore changes to tax policy to support the ease of doing business, but also to support future economic growth. Where we feel our current tax policy settings need to change, we will need to be bold in making these suggestions to the Minister in consultation with the Permanent Secretary. In closing, I'm very positive and optimistic about the opportunities for FRCS in 2023, and I'm certainly proud to be able to lead FRCS on our journey of ongoing transformational change. Thank you again, Minister and Assistant Minister,